Hey guys, wanted to welcome you to the next our AskRH episode, episode 4, basically where everything is made up and the points don't matter. Oh, wait a minute, that's not true. It's the points do matter. So anyway, I wanted to start off with a roll call. I've got a whole bunch of guys in the panel tonight. Don't have any viewers yet. It's pretty sad. Of course, I've only been on for like 5 seconds. But anyway, I guess we'll start off with Frank. I've got him on the far left. So Frank, why don't you kick us off with a roll call? Let us know who you are, a little background about yourself, and kick off any questions that you might have towards me. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm Frank Tart. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, and I've been doing woodworking ever since I was about 12, 14 years old with my dad. So left it alone for about 30 or 40 years and then picked up on it again.
Were you any good at 13 and 14?
I don't know. I can't remember that far back.
Well, tell me what you got.
Oh yeah, I was thinking today. Being when you have your own YouTube channel and that type of thing, and when you're developing something. Do you ever get, I wonder if you ever get to the point where you can't possibly answer all the viewers' emails and questions. Has it gotten to that point with you yet, or does it get to that point with it?
Well, I mean, it all depends on what kind of availability one has. Like myself, before I changed jobs, I actually had quite a bit of availability. I was able to answer questions at work, which I wasn't supposed to do, but they didn't catch me. But I was able to do it at work, and I was able to do it at home. But once I changed jobs and took this supervisory position it was a big clinic, my responsibilities kind of jumped way up. So my availability to answer questions like the day I post something, or even the day after I posted something, got a little bit limited. And answering all the questions actually was getting more and more difficult. I kind of do a batch response to just about everybody that comments on a video and sends me emails, usually late at night. Like if we go to bed at probably like say 10 o'clock, I'm usually up till about midnight or 1 o'clock on that batch night of emails and responses, and it can be something as short as "thank you" with a little smiley face or something, all the way up to a lengthy explanation of questions that somebody has. And whenever I get emails, I usually flag them in my email account so they're easier to find. That way I don't have to go back and see every one of them to see if there's any ones that I missed. But yeah, it's getting more and more difficult. The more subscribers I get, the more my time gets limited. I really have to prioritize. So yeah, that's hard to do. But if you really want to be involved with your viewers and keep them around, you really have to interact with them a lot, and that's just something that it depends on what you want your channel to do or where you want it to go. And if you want to be, popular like Mr. Ramsey, really need to be vigilant over your viewerships. Okay, let's see. I've got Gary over here, and Gary, you just showed us your table saw cabinet upgrade to your little mini fridge. I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, thank you.
I can't wait to actually start building that sucker because I want to see how it all works. But why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and then fire any questions you got.
My background is mainly industrial design and product concepting. I'm a mixed medium artist. Really not much of, honestly, a woodworker. My main background is concrete, fiberglass, and other things. Wood I've never really messed with too much other than making forms for concrete. But I don't really have very many questions as of right now. I like to just sit back, listen, and learn, and make sure I don't screw up too much and lose a finger.
Well, have you thought about doing anything with your concrete as far as doing a channel? Are you interested in doing a channel at all?
Yeah, actually I am. There is one because of I have been working for a while on a few concepts where I want to start bringing all the different elements and the things I've designed for other people together in one concept where I want to start blending some natural hardwoods in with concrete, bring furniture with concrete and wood. I've seen it done with stainless steel. I've seen it done with this and that. And I've been working on with a friend of mine who's a far better woodworker than me to teach me certain things off and on since he's close by to make sure that my ideas will work before I actually try to bring them to a table and, you know, waste a lot of time and money. But
I bet
yeah, I got that, and then a lot of 3D relief carving stuff I have to do. Tons of stuff. But it'll be
Yeah, I
after
bet
the
something that you could really incorporate good concrete and wood in with is like an outdoor kitchen.
Yeah, actually, I was working on a do-it-yourself one for the past 4 years for Giant One. I was designing, and I actually sold off all the molds for 6 foot by 4 foot industrial panels that homeowners and contractors can spray and hang and do themselves, all made out of rubber urethane.
Man, that sounds cool. Well, I'm sorry that you don't have any questions. I'd like to hear more about things that you have going on.
Yeah, well, it's not about me. I'd rather, honestly, really the only question I really have is, how do you know, like, when you're setting up your table saw and you're doing this and you're doing that? It's a lot of the do's and the don'ts that I've always had issues with. Like I said, I don't have a table saw as of yet, so I've been using a radial arm saw. And to me, that thing is not exactly the smartest thing to do. And I'm hoping to upgrade to at least a good table saw. And the only thing I'll use the radial arm saw for is just dados. That way I can actually see what I'm doing. But other than that, I think it's like your sled that you built. Do you find yourself using that 90% of the time for your smaller cuts compared to like just doing the gripper and ripper little thing?
My sled is a pretty big workhorse. I actually use it for a lot of stuff. I rarely use my compound sliding saw, radial arm saw. I don't even have that set up yet. I mean, once I do, I'll probably use it a lot more. But for doing things like rip cuts, I only used it that one time on that pallet mallet handle just because I could. And my sled was already set up, and I've done it before. I don't like doing it, but I've done it before, so I knew it was safe enough. But I mean, having the gripper and using it on the like the really small cuts is okay. But my sled I use a ton, especially now that I've got it dialed in to like what was it? I think it was 2007-inch over the. I think it was a 14-inch distance, so that's pretty accurate. So. I do use it a lot, and I don't know about the do's and don'ts that you're referring to necessarily. I'm sure you've got a lot of like a list of things that you may or may not want to do on a table saw. But when it comes to doing dados and things like that, I'm not really scared of putting the workpiece face down and doing bash cutting dados. I mean, you just need to have the right kind of blade on a radial arm saw, like a negative tooth angle. Just to make sure that you're not like grabbing a whole bunch of material and it yanking towards you a lot more.
What did you use for slides on your table saw? I don't mean to take up all your time.
No.
Like, you know what I mean? Like your slides, because I see some people use like oak, some people use like HP, like plastics and all that, like the stuff. I think you can get it from Rockler. The sheets. I've seen some person use Lexan. That's why I'm wondering, what have you found? Because I know wood will swell over time, depending on what kind of wood you use.
On my sled, like my runners for my sled.
Yes.
I use walnut for mine on a lot of my jigs that I have that run in the miter slots. Hardwood is preferable as far as if you're using a wood. Hardwood is preferable. You also want to make sure that your grain is running up and down because the swelling of wood or the changes in humidity with the swelling of wood actually occur with the direction of the grain, and if your grain is running up and down, the swelling is going to occur more up and down this way than it will expanding in and out of your miter slot. I'm not saying that it doesn't expand, because mine does. You just kind of have to fine tune it over time, and once you get it to the point where the swelling, the expansion doesn't really affect the slide of the runner, then you pretty well got it dialed in, because it pretty much stays that way, at least for me where I live. I have used just store-bought miter bars, but they tend to be a little short. They're only, probably about maybe 12 to 16 inches long at most, and you might have to install two right in front of the other to get a long enough runner for your sled. I've seen people use pretty thick plexiglass too to make their runners. So I mean, it's just I guess a preference, matter of preference. But I just used wood because it was readily available.
Sweet, thank you.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Next person in line, I've got Jason from Maritime Woodworkers. Good to see you, Jason. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about your YouTube channel, about yourself, and then any questions that you got.
Sure. Well, my name's Jason McGinn. I'm mostly McGinn's Woodshop. I'm part of Maritime Woodworkers. We do the Woodworkers Weekend Shop Talk. Also, I do build videos and how-tos like home maintenance, working on your snowblowers and stuff like that. Different things around the homestead that I got to work on. So lots on the go. It's all in baby stages right now, but trying to build it up and get it rolling. As for questions, mostly I'm pretty up to date with you, but I am interested, I guess, in your pallet progress, if that's the way I would say it, for your flooring.
The progress is slow going. I mean, anyone knows that pulling apart pallets is just tedious work. It still looks like I haven't touched my pallets that are underneath my awning, because it's just ever growing. I actually had to tell my supplier where I was getting them from that I needed to hold off on picking some up, because they seem to be coming in faster than I can pull them apart. Which he didn't have a problem with, because they just have a truck haul them off. They don't even use them for anything, which it kind of pains me to have that happen, especially because about 80 to 90% of the pallets that I get from there are solid oak, which just I see all that stuff leave. I really do.
Wow.
But right now I'm just in the pulling apart and just getting them all down to manageable sizes, and I'll mill up a few as I go if they split. I'm trying to make them in 1, 2, and 3 inch wide planks, so I just got to make sure that there's no metal as I'm going. I think last episode I said I was going to buy a metal detector just to make sure that I wasn't going to miss any nails, because that would just eat up a blade like nobody's business.
Especially the amount you're doing, you're bound to miss 1 or 2 nails.
Exactly, and I'm hoping not to find any in my car tires. That's the worst way to find one.
True.
Okay, let's see. I've got next in line. Looks like Jason Roush, and Jason, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself as well? And this first time you've actually been on the show, so if you have any questions, go ahead and fire them away.
I think he might be froze up.
I think so too. I'm kind of seeing that myself now. Poor Jason.
I thought I was cold.
Well, since we're having a little bit of issues with Jason, we'll go to Matt Brander. Matt's also with the Maritime Woodworkers, and Matt, I'm happy to have you here. Your show last week was quite fun. I appreciate it very much for having me on. Why don't you tell some people about yourself? I know we already know about the Maritime show, but tell us a little bit about your background.
Hey, thank you as well. It was excellent to have you and your father on. That was a pretty cool little twist for everything there. We really appreciate that.
That was last minute, too.
Yep. Besides that, myself, if you want to find my stuff, you can look it up at the Bearded Woodworker on Facebook, on Twitter, on Pinterest, and YouTube as well. But as well, for all of mine, anybody else links who's been on any of my stuff or our stuff is on maritimewoodworkers.com. My question for you, Drew, is I have a small shop. It's 18 by 12 in measurement, and plus I have to share that with, of course, my snowblower, my lawnmower, and my son's bike and everything, that sort of stuff. So do you have any plans? I know you made an awesome cabinet with your table saw and your router in it. Do you have any plans for making something maybe smaller, or maybe like a Lazy Susan implementation, or even a like a flip station?
Yeah, it's funny you ask. I actually have a couple of benchtop tools that I need to incorporate on a flip top, kind of, I don't know, just a cart that can actually fit up underneath one of my cabinets. I'm probably not going to incorporate both on the same cart just because I want it to be able to slide up underneath the cabinet. If I have two on top, it's just going to be too tall. And I know exactly what you mean about the small shop, because I actually worked in a one-car garage. It was a little longer than most. That's basically where all of my lawn mowing stuff resided. But whenever I needed to work in that shop, I basically had to push everything out into the driveway and cook in the sun while I did a project. So space-saving stuff, I really wish I would have worked a little harder at, because the table saw cabinet that I've made will not fit in a shop that size. So basically, I try and incorporate as much storage capacity in anything that I make, just to try and utilize as much of it as I possibly can. And even after I'm done with it, I still realize that I screwed up somewhere and didn't accommodate for something that I should have. And kind of like Nick asked me if there was anything that I would have changed, I wish I'd have put a little bit more forethought in some of the things that were going to be used on the table saw that I could store. But I think as I get my cabinets made, I will be trying to make more space-saving kind of storage, like the carts and things that can come out from underneath cabinets that I can take anywhere in the shop or outside on the driveway. Kind of like a paint cart, too. I'd kind of like to do that.
That's true. I think every time we modify our space, when we think back on it later, there's always something else you could have done in hindsight.
Yeah, that's the time you want to remove sharp objects from your hand, because you basically want to cut yourself after that.
Yep.
All right, let's see. I got Jason back. Jason, can you hear me, dude? You frozen again.
He's having a cold day, him.
All right. Well,
communications for NASA.
You should have a bad internet connection. Well, Mike, since I got you unmuted, we'll go to you. You're next in line. And Mike, I know you have a YouTube channel as well. I think this is the second time you've been on an episode.
Actually, I think it's my first, actually.
Is it your first?
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for paying attention. No.
We'll give your YouTube channel a plug. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and go ahead and fire away any questions you got.
I appreciate it. MF Woodshop. Catch me on Facebook, MF Woodshop, and my website at mfwoodshop.com. And for the most part, I do smaller woodworking projects. Occasionally, I'll go in a bigger project when the commission comes around. But for the most part, I guess you can call them trinket projects. Now I got maybe two questions for you, and we can take them as they go, depending on time. But one of them, I always had a question, and I always felt kind of silly asking this question. When I go to the lumber yard, a hardwood supplier, I should say, and they have things measured out in board feet. How do I figure out board foot?
Well, in my experience, there's a couple of ways. You can do it the manual way, but with a calculator, or you can do it the easy way with an app on your phone. There's all kinds of apps that you can download. There's one in particular that I have on mine called Board Foot Calculator. It basically just asks you to plug in the measurements of your width, your length, as well as your thickness, and it will automatically calculate the board feet in those particular given dimensions.
That's a good idea. I didn't even think about that. But...
Yeah, that's the easy way. And since your phone is always on you, it's easy to use.
Now it's something like 1 inch per 1 foot width and 1 foot wide or something. Isn't that like a board foot?
Yeah, it's like gosh, what is it? 1 foot. I think it's 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 inch thickness.
All right. And the other question, if you don't mind me getting two of them in here, ripping off like 1/8 inch strips on the table saw. One of the problems I have is, and I think it's because of the alignment on my fence per blade.
Mm-hmm.
I have a problem cutting that so close to the blade. I don't know if it's just a comfortability level of mine or if I'm doing something wrong. So what I'd like to do is set the blade up, or the fence up to the blade about 1/8 inch, or even smaller in some cases, and then run my board until the board's empty, basically. Any tips or tricks there?
Well, the closer you get to your blade, the scarier it is. Yeah, you need to make sure that your table saw's got to be in tune for things like that. The pinching on the outfeed part of your blade and the fence, that's got to be perfect. It either needs to be perfectly parallel with your blade, or your fence has got to be towed out just a little bit on the back end, just to make sure that you don't get any kind of pinching. So my first thing would be to check to see if the measurements from the front of the blade to the fence to the back of the blade to the fence are either exact or the back is towed out a little bit more. I would also use a sacrificial kind of push stick that you can actually run over the blade while still maintaining both your offcut as well as the keeper cut, to make sure that you're not going to get any kind of kickback. It's just going to be a controlled push all the way through. And I would just use like a 2x4 for that. Just make yourself a push stick out of a 2x4 with a little toe kick at the very back to keep pushing it through.
Sure.
I mean, if you're scared about the pinching,
I
probably...
I really think a lot of it is just the setup of my saw. I think that fence is in just a hair, and I think that's what's throwing it off. On a wider piece, it's not a big deal, but on that narrower piece, I think that's where I'm having some trouble there.
One thing to watch for as you're pushing your piece through is if you see kind of like an all of a sudden throw up of sawdust from the back of your blade. If you see that, or if that registers as you're pushing it through, then that's a good indication that you're getting some pinching on the back of that blade.
Oh, okay. I never noticed that. But, okay. All right. Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. And let's see. Next person I got is Nick Ferry in line here. So Nick, you've been on the show a couple of times, I know. So good to have you back with us. Go ahead and give your YouTube channel a plug. Tell us a little bit about yourself and any questions that you got.
You can find me on YouTube by searching for Nick Ferry, or my main channel, or my main website, I should say, nickferry.com. And I don't know, I just like to make little woodworking projects, kind of a hobbyist woodworker and such. But my question for you, I noticed that you got a new bandsaw. Have you had a chance to put it together and use it yet?
Why does everybody want to know about my bandsaw?
It looks awesome. It looks like a really nice saw.
That was a big splurge for me. I've been waiting to have a really nice bandsaw because I've been putting up with all of those Craftsman wobbly bandsaws as they're running kind of thing, and I could never get them running just right. The bandsaw is, sad to say, I hope nobody judges me for this, but it is still on the crate. The crate's disassembled, but it's still sitting on the crate in the exact location that you've seen it in the past 2 or 3 videos. It's put together a little bit more. The table's on it and all, but problem is I don't have a 220 outlet in my shop. I don't have a laundry room in my shop like most houses do, so there's no 220 access. And whenever I was reading the manual about how to wire it from 220 to 110, which it does have that capability, it pulls a crap load of amps at 110. It pulls like 20 amps at 110. And I mean, most most breakers, you would have to get like a 20 amp single throw, and just like 2 10 amp breakers that are just on a single throw bar. And that's its max. And if I run anything else with it, like a dust collector or anything else, it would probably just trip the crap out of it. So I'm making sure that I get a 220 line run in the shop before I do anything else with that bandsaw. So I still have my old one plugged in and using it until I can get that done. Plus I've got to get a whole bunch of lighting in the shop. So when I get that done, I'm going to get the 220 line ran at the same time.
Very cool.
So, yeah, don't judge me. I spent a lot of money, but I still haven't utilized it yet. All right, well, let's see. I've got Rich McNatt with us. And if any of you guys don't know Rich, he is a really good wood turner. He actually sent me a bowl. I actually had it here, I think. Oh. Yeah, right here. A little segmented bowl that he sent me because he broke it, and
Nice.
yeah, and he actually busted a window doing it too, I think.
Yes, I did.
But this is a really cool bowl. I mean, that was probably a lot of hours, and it's super thin. I don't know how you got it that thin. But
Well, that's probably why it broke.
what is that? 342 pieces? That's a lot of pieces, dude. But he lovingly called it the broke-ass bowl. So I thought that was really cool. And he sent me that in the mail, too. So, Rich, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, especially in the wood turning biz, and any questions that you got?
Name's Rich McNatt. YouTube's at Rich McNatt. I'm a professional woodworker, if you could describe it that way. I get paid for what I do, so I guess that makes me a professional. My living is mostly casework and furniture build. I do the turning like that bowl and others on most of my videos as fun. That's how I relax. My question for you is, I don't really see you doing or using hand tools often. Is there a reason for that, or are you just not into hand tools?
I haven't had a whole heck of a lot of experience with hand tools yet. I do have some hand planes that I've acquired over the last year or so from antique stores and things like that. I'm actually working on getting them restored and flattened and making sure that they're finely tuned. But the only thing that I've really used as far as hand tools, and I haven't even done it on the show yet, is card scrapers. I really like to use card scrapers just to fine-tune any imperfections in the surface of the wood, so I don't have to sand a whole heck of a lot. Plus, it's just kind of relaxing. You turn off all the power tools, any noise that's in the shop, and you can just feel the wood as you're going along with those card scrapers, and it's very, very soothing. Sometimes it gets very hot, but it's very soothing. So
you'll find hand plane is like that a lot. If you ever decide to use one. Also,
yeah.
On the turning, have you thought about getting a lathe and trying your hand at that?
I am actually. I have in my plans for the shop a lathe cabinet that will sit on, I think it's just opposite of my assembly table, against the wall. I was going to put it in front of the window until I saw your video, so I changed my mind on the location of that. So I'm going to put it on the back side of the assembly table, so there'll just be a pathway between it and the lathe. And because I've never really worked with a lathe before, I was going to get a starter lathe from Rockler, they have one called an Excelsior lathe, and it's a little mini lathe, but it also has an extension bed that'll take it out as far as a standard lathe. It just won't have that particular that same amount of swing that the other one does. But I figured that would be a good start to do work on a lathe, especially for a beginner.
Yeah. Well, putting it in front of your window is a fine choice as long as you put some plexiglass up before you break the window.
Or at least have some on hand.
Yeah. Preferably not having glass shatter everywhere is, a good thing. But, well, good luck. I look forward to seeing some of your turning.
Yeah, me too. I just hope it turns out okay. All right. Well, let's see. I've also got, lastly, it looks like Sterling Davis on the line as well. And Sterling has been promoting a really big challenge that has actually just been featured, I've been told, on Steve Ramsey's Mirror Minute. So it's gotten a lot of attention. So, Sterling, why don't you give a plug about this challenge first so everyone knows about it that hasn't had the opportunity to know about it. And any background on yourself, and then any questions that you got.
Well, first I just wanted to thank Steve Ramsey. I was honored to have him do that. I appreciate him doing it. But the challenge itself is very basic. You take a pallet, make something out of that pallet, video it, submit the video to me, and you'll be entered to win some cool prizes. That's as simple as it is. There's no good, bad. There's no first or last. It's not being judged. The challenge itself is to create something from a pallet. And if you do that, you'll be able to be entered to win some prizes. So I just want to be fair and give everybody an opportunity to send something in. As far as myself, background, I'm not really having a background in woodworking. I'm a woodworker hobbyist that just enjoys coming out into the shop and creating crafts. So I do small builds, but nothing outlandish. It's more of a therapy for me. It's my getaway. But as far as a question, I actually have a three-part question. It revolves around your challenge. Number one, your challenges with YouTube and starting your channel. What challenges have the biggest challenge you faced? In a project, what has been your biggest challenge for a project? And where do you see yourself in 5 years?
All right. Well, since you got three questions, just remind me of what these are, because I'm sure I'll forget them as I ramble. But let's see. The biggest challenge on YouTube. This is probably for any YouTube beginner, and it's how to handle the trolls, basically, because there's been a lot of conversation from some YouTubers. I remember one from Bob from I Like to Make Stuff. He posted on Google Plus about 2 days ago about some negativity with people just putting comments on his channel about safety or whether the stuff that he makes is worthwhile to anybody. And one negative comment, like he said, can equal 100 positive comments or even 1,000 positive comments. And it's really disheartening for anyone that has a channel and does not know how to have necessarily a thick skin per se. So if you can't take the comments, then it's kind of hard to, I guess, shrug them off. So that's probably been my biggest challenge in the beginning, was learning how to deal with them. Let's see. What was my the project? Like my biggest project challenge?
Yeah.
Gosh, in the beginning it was probably that pipe organ console, but as of late, I would probably have to say it was my table saw cabinet, just because of how long I did design work on it and how long I wanted it, and getting my shop ready for it before I could even start it. I had to redo all of my floors, my walls, my ceiling. I had to take all the popcorn off of that. So it was a lot of anxiety building to the point where I could actually start that table saw cabinet build, and that took, gosh, it seemed like a year to make. It was only just about 3 months, but it was really difficult to do it with the camera on. I could have really easily got out there and made it in a month, but with the camera on and videotaping everything, it just took a long time. It was very challenging to do. So that's probably another challenge as far as the YouTube thing is learning how to do everything behind the camera and stay motivated to do it. But yeah, that's probably the biggest thing as far as the projects go, is learning how to work with the camera on projects that would normally take you a fraction of the time to do. Let's see, where do I see myself in 5 years? I really want to be doing this stuff full time. As some of you have seen, I've tried to get my hand in sponsorships, and that's turning out really well. Trying to increase my viewerships, and as well as the direction I want my channel to go. So in 5 years, I really hope to be doing this full time. I think I have a lot to contribute as long as I have the time to contribute it, because that's my biggest problem, is finding the time to do it all. But yeah, that's where I see myself. Hopefully in 5 years I'll be just like a lot of the full-timers here on YouTube.
You could say celebrating the 5-year anniversary of you asking me that question.
That's yeah. You said it, Nick. I'll say ditto on that one. Excuse me.
Well, with wanting to do it full time, or do you think that some of your videos might be compromised or forced to do them in a direction you don't necessarily want to take them?
I wouldn't say that, because I'm in charge of my own show. I can take it in any direction that I want. Even with sponsorships, even the ones that I have been really gracious in the direction that I take my show. That whole product placement stuff that everybody gives me crap about, that's all my doing. I can do that if I want to. I can do it if I don't want to. The only condition I have, like with my micro jig, is to give them that first 5 seconds. After that, it's up to me how I want to place their product. And Rockler is the same way. If I had a show, say on PBS or HGTV DIY, whatever, that would be the hard part, because they tell you what to do. They say, give me 13 projects for the next 11 shows, and we'll throw 2 out. And that's what you do, and you're going to do it this way and that way, and you got this certain length of time. And that's what I don't really want that. Now, I don't know if the pay is good. There might be some consideration.
Well, but you're not trying to make a living at it now, as to where, well, like you said, you want to make a living at it. And that sometimes that makes a person compromise his, we'll say, beliefs somewhat.
Well, here's the deal: is that in order for me to start making it full time, I'm building it right now to get to that point, and the way I'm building it is the way I will continue to have it when I'm full time. I believe that whenever I have the more time to contribute my knowledge in woodworking, because right now I feel like I am compromised with my time. I have to do something in a week's time when I've got a full-time job, a family, a 3-year-old, and all kinds of other things that go on. I feel like I do have to compromise what it is that I'm putting out each and every week. When and if I have full-time status to do this, I'll be able to do more design work and be able to think about what it is that I want to make a lot more, and instead of trying to bang it out in one evening or 2 evenings. But from get to point A to point B, I don't think I'm going to compromise my standards on the channel, they're only going to grow and get better as time goes on. I want to stay as humble as possible. I don't want to be, just some arrogant a-hole. It's people like watching my channel because of how I am right now, and that's how I will continue to be. It's just your own personality, and don't let anybody tell you what to do, because it is obviously my channel, and I do it how I want to do it.
Good answer.
There's been a lot of talk about the saturation of the woodworking community and the different YouTube channels. Do you see, looking out in 5 years from now, how you're building your channel versus how other woodworkers build their channels, working behind the scenes with those woodworkers, the communication there, how important is that to you?
I think having the community now as it is, even the oversaturation, that's actually saying a lot about where we are going as a community. Because back 6 years ago, especially when the Wood Whisperer and Matt's Basement Workshop, Steve Ramsey, when all those guys first started, there was no community. It was just them. And there was really no help. They kind of had to learn on their own. Well, we have the advantage of having that expertise. I wouldn't say at our disposal, but we have it out there to where we can actually ask for it if and when we need it. And more communication, it's just like your viewerships. The more communication you have with your viewers, the better your channel will thrive. And the more you have with the fellow YouTubers that are putting out content, maybe the same, maybe completely different, will actually help your channel grow. And I think it's just an invaluable resource to have with the saturation of YouTubers as well as the experienced YouTubers that have been here for many, many years. It's just, in my view, it's just the most important thing you could have when starting your channel is to have the expertise to ask when and if you need it. Let's see, I've got about 17 minutes left. I'm trying to find some comments. Let me try and locate those. If anybody else has any other questions, feel free to ask. I'm going to do some little searching here.
Not so much a question, but maybe a comment.
I got high. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I got high respect for everything you just said. I just want to say that.
Thank you. I'm glad I said it right.
I got a quick question. What video equipment are you using for recording? Sorry if I cut you off.
No. The video equipment I have, I actually upgraded as of late. Before I was just using a what was it? I think it was a Canon Vixia or something like that. It was just a little palm camcorder. It said 1080p or HD, but it didn't come across like that whenever I used it. It really required a lot of good lighting. But the mic that I use is still the same one, and it's an Asden. I think it's an Asden Pro, and it's a wireless transmitter and receiver that sits on my camera, and then I wear a little mic on my lapel or collar or wherever. And I upgraded recently to a Canon T3i Rebel DSLR camera, and it shoots 1080p and has manual and autofocus. I also got a couple different lenses for it as well. It shoots a lot better quality video, and I don't know if you've noticed in the past, probably 7 videos that I've had put out, but the picture is a lot better quality. So that's basically what I use. I don't have any fancy lighting, or I don't know. Even my microphone's not that fancy because I have to block out a lot of the background noise. Let's see. Oh, okay, I found some questions here that people have posted. Adrian wanted to say hi from New Zealand, so hey, Adrian.
Hi, Adrian.
I think that's cool. We're getting all the way to New Zealand. Let's see. Impractical Fisherman said, why not just rip those pallets down with a jigsaw like Steve Ramsey does, plus a rare earth magnet or two on a string might make a good nail finder. That's a good tip. I might use that for now until I can get me a metal detector. But ripping the pallets with the jigsaw, I wanted to do that, or even with a circular saw, but the fact is my wife really wants those nail holes to be visible on the ends as well as in the middle, just for a rustic look. So whatever the wife wants, the wife's going to get, even though it's more work for me.
At least we know you've been trained well.
Dude, my wife could say it's cold in here, and without myself thinking about it, I will get up and turn the fan off. And she's like, it's working so well. Let's see, I've got one more question from Stephen Brewer. Let's see. It says, hey Drew, I have a small 1.5 car garage shop. Small 1.5 car garage shop. That's weird. It is also the laundry room. I am looking for ideas on storage for all my stuff. I built a larger miter saw station and a workbench, but I'm trying to figure out what's next. Could you do an update video shop tour for us? You know, I've actually been wanting to do a shop tour as of late, but it seems like my shop is just gathering more and more clutter. I might have to do a little cleanup before I do a shop tour. I would say probably count on a shop tour in the next month. I may do one after the new year is over. As far as storage, since you were talking about storage, I would probably look around your shop and just see if there's any dead space that you can utilize. Up the walls, on the floor, over doorways. I put shelving over my garage door that goes into my house, which isn't a lot of space, but one shelf you can put a lot of stuff on. So yeah, the over my cellar, I can't put any tools on the floor, but that's where I utilize my lumber rack, because anything that can suspend over the cellar is still a good use for storage. So just look around for any kind of dead space that you wouldn't think could be a good way to utilize cabinetry or lumber racks or anything like that. You just kind of have to think outside the box when you're wanting to do storage. Let me see. I've got another one I think that just popped up. Impractical Fisherman. He just said, happy wife equals happy life. And yes, that's correct. All right. So far, that's all the questions that have popped in from the viewers, which we've got 22 people watching. That's pretty cool. And you guys have got a massive chat going on here.
Yeah, you might not want to read some of it.
Well, you might not want to read any of it.
Gary brought up a good
my
point.
wife's in the background too watching, so that should count as an extra viewer.
Hey, Drew, Jason, is he frozen again, or is he can introduce himself?
Jason, yeah, let me see.
If not, he's one of the world's longest blinkers.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything on him.
I got a question from Patrick's Workshop. He asked, when you're working and on a project and you have limited supply of materials and you mess up a piece, how should you go about dealing with screw-ups?
Limited supply and you mess up a piece. I guess it all depends on the screw up.
Yeah, you might not want to read some of it.
Oh, whoop, I think that might be Lance. Yeah, there we go. It all depends on the screw up. Like if you drill a hole in the wrong place, I would probably say you could probably fill it in with. I've seen fill things in with toothpicks and sand it all nice and smooth. Or if you can just make one off cut,
He's one of the world's.
you might have to just throw it away and start over. Like I said, it all depends on the screw up. Anytime that I buy lumber, I always make sure that I have more than is necessary for the project, just in case I do screw up. And if you don't end up using it, it's always nice to have later on if you ever need it. I don't know. That's really a hard question to answer, just because a screw up can be, you cut something too short to where I accidentally just put a nail hole in something that I shouldn't have. So I don't know. Did he have any elaboration to that at all?
He's typing.
Have you ever had a project you started and it was just it didn't turn out the way you wanted it to be, and you just didn't want to move on with it, and you just scrapped the whole thing?
You mean, did I ever make an ashtray?
Yeah, or a paperweight.
Decorative firewood?
Yeah.
Dog toy?
Oh, that's an expensive dog toy. I wouldn't want to give him that. Thinking back, I think I had one cutting board that didn't quite turn out the way I wanted it to. There was one time that the entertainment center that I've got in my living room, has a big, huge, wide walnut top. And as I was running it through the drum sander, it got a little too heavy for the conveyor belt to push it through and stopped. And the belt just kept digging in and digging in. I was like, I was trying to push it through and nothing would work. Ended up stopping the belt and stopping the drum. And I almost, and it was sad that it entered my mind, but I almost wanted to take that whole thing and throw it away. I was so pissed.
How did that noise go again?
Shut up. But I mean, I kind of live with it. I managed to feather it out a little bit. You can still kind of feel it, but I feathered it out with a belt sander, so it turned out okay. But yeah, it all depends on your screw up. I don't think I've ever had one that I just wanted to scrap altogether and actually went through with it. I just had thoughts of doing it.
Oh, I just sent mine away.
Yeah, you just mailed it to me, didn't you?
Yeah, I just mail mine off. Generally, there's not a mess up though. It's just a design change.
Ah, yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, mine are.
It was an entertainment center, but now it's a shelf.
Well, yeah.
Shelf to pronounce profit.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Lance looks like he joined us kind of late. Lance is one of the woodworkers that lives really close to me. He's actually about 35 minutes north of me in Edmond, and he is one of the ones that I bought a lot of tools from, including the Harbor Freight dust collector that I've got sitting in my shop that I just got a whole bunch of stuff in from Rockler to outfit it with. So, Lance, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself as well, and if you have a question or not. Oh, I might have to unmute him. Unmute yourself, dude.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh. My name's Lance Wroblewski. Used to do a bunch of YouTube videos, probably last year. I haven't done one in about a year. Been in the hobby for, 4 years now. And just kind of self-taught and just, build stuff here and there when I got time. Time is of the essence as of late. I haven't had much time to get in the shop, and one of the reasons why I haven't done any videos in over a year is it takes a lot of time, as Drew knows. So, but nothing else. Just trying to figure out how to use this Google Plus. I've never done this before. I went to your Facebook and clicked on the link, so I'm a little late. So
that's all right. You're still getting in.
Yeah, you got any tools you want to buy?
Dude, you sold me like half your arsenal.
I'm done now. No more.
Dude, man, he's upgraded to some nice stuff too, and he's giving me the remnants of what he doesn't want. But he's giving me some really good deals on it too. I couldn't pass it up. He's had some really cool projects, and he's actually the one that I got the idea from on putting vent holes in the router cabinet, the little doorway where the box of the router is contained, putting those cross-through vent holes so your dust collection will actually work better.
Is it
yeah, it does. I think I need more than what I put in. I think I put in 2 or 3,
Yeah, I've got
and
four of
I
them.
might need 5. It seems like it's not getting enough crossbreeds in the corners.
You always need crossbreeds in the corners.
Yeah. Thanks, Nick.
You're welcome.
Oh, let's see. I think I might have got a couple more comments here on the chat. Let's see. Gimp Geek. Do any of the wood turners here think it is possible to do small wood turning projects from a wheelchair? If so, how would you set up the lathe? Rich, I think I'll let you answer that one, dude.
Oh, it'd absolutely be possible from a wheelchair. To set up your lathe, you just need enough space in between the legs or whatever's holding up your lathe, and then get the lathe height about your elbow, sitting there or in a comfortable position, and you'll be good to go.
Check out the North Carolina wood turners. They have a trailer that goes around, and they actually have setups for wheelchairs for scroll sawing and lathes, and their setup is just awesome. They go around just teaching how to do the woodworking in a wheelchair. North Carolina Woodworkers.
Sterling, if you can, in the comments of the show on YouTube, if you can reply to him with that link, if you can find that and reply to it for him so he could find that, that'd be much appreciated, I'm sure. Let's see, Slice of Wood Workshop. For any of you guys that haven't seen his channel, he does a lot of hand tool work as well as blacksmithing. So he's worth checking out too.
Yeah, he has a really good channel.
Yeah. He asked, do you schedule out your YouTube projects or just try to find an idea over the weekend? My answer to that one would be yes. I've done both. And like right now, I'm just trying to figure out what I was going to do for this week's project. Just kind of happened. I try and schedule out, and that's one thing that I am going to do after the new year. It's one of my resolutions is to plan out 6 months ahead as much as possible each and every week that I can accomplish something. Now, I'm sure that life is probably going to get in the way of that schedule, and that's just a punch you'll just kind of have to roll with. What I may do is if something comes up that's going to take time away from a long project that I've got coming up on that particular weekend, I may swap it out for a project that would later on down the line that would be smaller and faster to get done. So yeah, I've done both, and I wish I could be scheduled all the time, but that's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. I don't think I've got any more just yet.
You got cookies?
Hey, you've actually got a mini fridge, so.
That's because I'm lazy.
You can keep as many cookies as you want along with beer in there.
I do want to thank you too. You was a big, huge part of getting Rockler involved with the pallet upcycle challenge. I appreciate that greatly.
Oh yeah, I don't know if have you done a video update of the prize entries?
I did the last one I just did this past Wednesday.
Oh, okay. I need to watch that too. I haven't touched YouTube in about 4 or 5 days, so I feel pretty bad. But I've had a lot of stuff going on this week. But yeah, Rockler, he really stepped up. Nathan in the marketing part, he's actually over the YouTube Streamline Woodworkers, and he watches a lot of channels. And I had just asked him if he wanted to participate, and he was more than willing to do so, and volunteered 2 prizes. So I'm glad that he did that, and I'm glad that your viewers are going to enjoy what it is that he offered. So
my only regret is I can't win them.
Well, I think what you're doing is awesome. I mean, I have trouble figuring out what to do as far as competitions go or challenges or anything like that, and that was a really good out-of-the-box thinking challenge that you did. It's getting everybody motivated to make something out of, a cheesy little pallet that could just be thrown in a landfill and just making something useful, utilitarian, or just just plain beautiful for that matter. I saw one that you had recently. It looked like a gift bag. I thought that was cool. I didn't see who made it. It was just a picture that I saw. Who made that?
That was Carl Jacobson.
Was it Carl?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. So yeah, I think what you're doing is awesome. It's getting a lot of inspiration to people to get out in their shops and just be creative.
That's what it's all about.
Let's see. I'm a little over time here. I'm going to see if there was any more that I might have missed. Let's see. Gimp Geek just said thank you. Let's see. I think that's all I've got. So I have had a fun time tonight. This has been a lot of questions coming across, and I want to thank you all for joining the panel. I was contemplating whether or not I should continue doing these little AskRH segments, just because I didn't know if it was being received well or not. But I mean, just judging from tonight, it seems like you guys are getting a kick out of it as just as much as I am. Is there anything that you guys can give me any tips on how to make this show better? Am I doing anything wrong, or do I need to do something different?
Well, you can make your bed in the background.
You weren't supposed to see that.
Sorry, Drew. Sorry.
Shut up, Rich.
Well, I think it's doing good.
You could send all the participants a hat.
That would deplete my whole supply.
Hey, I'm up for that.
I will say that my website is going to be up, from what I've been told, is December 15th. And all of the shirts, hats, and everything will be easily accessible from the website. I think we're going to use PayPal to get it done. So if you guys don't have a PayPal account, you might want to set one up before too long, because I want to see some Rockin' H Blue out there. Also, one other thing I was going to say is my wife and I were actually in the process of getting another channel started. We're actually going to do a family channel, basically, of DIY projects that we are going to be doing, Pinterest-inspired stuff, whether it's going to be a pass or fail kind of thing, because we've done some things on Pinterest that haven't quite worked out the way we had planned. So I'm sure that there are a lot of people out there wondering if the things that they're seeing on Pinterest actually work or actually worth their time to do. And my wife has been watching my channel and wanting to get behind the camera now and get in front of the camera as well, and help share her knowledge of things that she's been learning on Pinterest. So things like that are coming along nicely, and will be debuting soon. It'll probably be after the new year, of course. Hope you guys can subscribe to that and let me know what you think. And I don't know, that's pretty much what I got coming, so I'm just tacking on even more crap onto my list.
She's just wanting to show you how to do it right.
Hey, that's perfectly fine. If she can make money at it, I'm good by it.
Hey, Drew, have you finished your assembly table?
Thanks, Lance. Thanks.
He's got his bandsaw sitting on it, don't he?
Yeah.
I have a deal with Freud saw blades and router bits to do my drawers. I'm actually doing a video for them on how to use their dial with dado stack. So that'll be coming out on Freud's website before too long. So I've got a little bit more work to do. That'll just give me a reason to do my drawers and the assembly table, the pull-outs. Gosh, I've got the stuff that Nick gave me a website to use for the air compressor stuff, as well as the dust collection. Even power sourcing to the tool tray is going to go in there. So I've got a few things that are coming. I'm just still trying to get motivated to get out there and finish it. Hey, it still works. I can still put stuff on it.
Well, like you said, you're fitting everything between a bunch of everything else, right? So.
Oh, let's see. I hate to get off just yet because I think I had a couple more come in. God, this is a lot of stuff coming. Who in the hell is Kate Upton?
Model.
Yeah, dude. Seriously.
I guess is that your calendar, Rich? Is that who that is?
Yes.
Ah,
Yes.
somebody has a good eye.
Well, you know, if you got to look at the date, you might as well look at. Well, never mind. But yes, that's who it is.
That's pretty good. All right. Well, guys, I guess I'll call it quits for tonight. I want to thank you all for joining us. Don't forget that we have another session coming up in 2 weeks. I'm debating on what time to hold it now because I seem to be getting a lot of responses tonight. So I might change the time. I'll have to keep you posted. And since the feedback that I'm getting is working really well, I think I'll just keep going with this particular segment. So.
Awesome.
Guys, again, thank you for joining us, and all I want to say is just have a Merry Christmas, be safe in your shops, and I will see you guys in 2 weeks.
You too, Drew. Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Merry Christmas.
Bye-bye.
All right.